Hi ladies, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Simone and I talk things all femininity. So today we're going to be focusing on one of the four phases in the menstrual cycle, and we are focusing on the menstrual phase, which is your period. All right, I want to start off with this because it does mark the first day of your menstrual cycle, and also because a lot of women struggle with this phase, and I, for one, have in the past. So I want to share everything that I can with you so that you have the knowledge I think would be very helpful for you in overcoming any feelings of low self worth or depression that you might experience during this phase. So I'm going to break this video down into 6 sections. The first section is just going to be a quick little overview, and the second section is going to be a breakdown of what's going on in the body. So I'm going to talk about your hormones, what your body's actually doing that you don't see, and the physical symptoms of everything that's going on in your body. And the third section is going to be, of course, the emotional and mental effects of all of these things going on in your body. Most of the time for women, those effects are not that pleasant to deal with. And because of that, I'm going to be talking about how to alleviate some of those unpleasant feelings with proper nutrition, exercise, and self care. This is section 1. It's going to be a quick overview of what the menstrual phase is. The menstrual phase is when your uterine lining is shedding because you were not pregnant, and it marks the first day of your menstrual cycle. It takes place from days 1 to around 7. So you will be bleeding for around 3 to 7 days. And I'm going to give you some main focuses I want you to take on during this phase because, like all of the other phases, your body's going through different things, you're feeling different ways naturally. So there's certain focuses that you should have to feel the best version of yourself. I'm going to give you the physical ones first. So you want to focus on decreasing inflammation, increasing hydration, and resting. The emotional focuses are to be very introspective. What is going on in your life in this era? Not just on your period, but the weeks before that, the weeks to come. Just think about where you are in your life right now and analyze it with your intuition. The final focus that you're going to have is to let go of things that are draining your energy or that do not serve you anymore. Now let's move on to section number 2, which is going to be a breakdown of what is going on in your body. It all starts with your hormones. What you need to know is that your hormones are at an all-time low. And because estrogen is at an all-time low, you will feel the effects of this, which are most likely going to be low energy, low mood, and tiredness. Like, you don't want anything to do with anyone. That's completely normal. You'll still feel that way a little bit, but there are ways that you can minimize that feeling. The only hormone that does really increase slightly is FSH because it's preparing you for follicular development. Since you didn't get pregnant this time, they're gonna try again. Okay, but yeah, the luteinizing hormone is also low. So everything is low, and that's why you feel low. So just remember it that way. This is how hormones work, I just want you to know. So they are signals, basically, to enact something that's going to happen in your body. And what these hormones do is that they tell the endometrial tissue to shed since you're not pregnant anymore. And I'm going to explain it like this. So you have your luteal phase, which is right before your period, and then you have your menstrual phase, which is your period. In your luteal phase, your uterus lining, it thickens because it thinks that you are going to become pregnant, and in order to become pregnant, the egg needs to attach to the uterine lining, but it can only attach to the uterine lining if it's thick enough. So that's why it's thickening during the luteal phase. But because you didn't become pregnant, that's why you shed that uterine lining that you just thickened in the luteal phase, because you're not pregnant and there's no egg that needs to attach to that uterine lining anymore. So that's what you're doing. Your body is shedding that uterine lining because it's not pregnant. And basically your body's putting you through hell because you didn't get pregnant. I'm just joking. But this is just a natural part of the human cycle. Our bodies are made to reproduce. Yes, so that is one of the actions that your body is doing. But another one I found interesting was that your blood vessels actually constrict. So, what we know about physiological reactions, such as your blood vessels constricting, is that they can either influence or be a result of certain emotions that you're feeling. If your blood vessels are very constricted, that will initiate a stress response or an anxiety response, because when your blood vessels are constricted, it's very limited for your oxygen to get through to all of your organs and everything. So it basically tells your body that you're in survival mode. Your blood vessels are constricted to prevent excessive blood loss during your period. So you're going to feel stressed and anxious. It's very likely that you will. So just know that it's normal and it's a physiological reaction that most of the time you cannot control. It's just a part of being a female and having that female anatomy. So yeah, we're just gonna have to teach you how to lessen those symptoms and how to deal with them and how to cope with them. And that's what's great about cycle syncing, is that you teach your body how to overcome these physiological obstacles that we're presented with as women. Men are always thinking how easy our lives are. And yeah, they're easy because our biological lives are so much harder than yours. Like, I would love to see a man live in my shoes for a whole 30 days. See how they deal with that. But, anyways, another thing the body's doing is it's experiencing uterine contractions, which is stimulated by these things called prostaglandins. I'm not going to go too much into these because I'm not a scientist or a doctor, but what you should know about prostaglandins is that they stimulate a pain response and also an inflammation response. So, this is why during your period you feel a lot of pain and that you feel maybe bloated or heavier than usual, because these prostaglandins are something in your body that initiate those responses. So, it's not your diet or anything, it might be, but your body literally is putting itself in inflammation mode. So, because of these hormonal changes, you could see how when the hormones change, then your body changes, and then your actual body changes. You feel physical symptoms from these changes that your body's going through in here. What those symptoms are usually they're bleeding, obviously, cramping, lower back pain, bloating, mood swings and irritability, migraines, headaches, the list goes on. And they're different from every single woman, but for the most part, they are not the most pleasant symptoms to be feeling. That was a breakdown of everything that's going on in the body, and that's going to bring us right into the next section, which is section 3, on what you might be feeling as a side effect of all of these things that are changing in your body. So let's talk about your feelings. So, because of those hormonal lows, you will also feel very emotionally low. And when I say low, I mean you will feel very tired. You might feel more withdrawn from society or your friends. You might feel fatigued mentally and physically. Just think of it as coming home from a day of work where you feel super de energized and super drained. And you feel like that at night and you feel tired as well. That feeling is how you feel for the entirety of your period, most likely. You might feel more withdrawn, yes. But a great way to take advantage of that is to be spending time with yourself and really treating yourself as your own best friend. And I'll get more into that into section 6. Now I'm going to talk about ways that you can alleviate these symptoms of confusing emotions and painful physical symptoms, because you can influence those unpleasant feelings by having a proper nutrition, proper exercise, and also knowing how to care for yourself during this phase on an emotional and spiritual level. So let's get into section number 4, which is all about nutrition. So with each of your phases come a different fluctuation of hormones, and because of that, you might be more deficient in certain minerals or vitamins and nutrients during each of the phases. And in the menstrual phase, you're deficient in iron because you're losing blood, and you are also having an inflammatory response because of the prostaglandins. So, like I said in the beginning of this video, it's key to prioritize de-inflammation and also to rest your body and to replenish your iron that you're losing, and also a few other minerals that I'll mention later. For your nutrition during this phase, you want to focus on warm, mineral-rich, and anti-inflammatory foods. So let's talk about some anti-inflammatory foods you can incorporate into your diet. Any foods that are rich in omega-3s or fatty acids. So these can include fish, particularly salmon, avocado, chia seed, flaxseed, egg yolks, and then you also have your anti-inflammatory spices, which are garlic, cayenne, turmeric, cinnamon. One of my favorite meals to have is oatmeal with stewed apples sprinkled with cinnamon. It tastes like apple pie in a bowl, and I love it. So definitely try that on your period for breakfast sometime. Those are some anti-inflammatory foods that can help combat what the prostaglandins are doing to your body. But I'm going to go into minerals now. So the main mineral you want to be consuming during this time is iron. Iron is key because you're losing so much of it from your blood loss. And when you have a deficiency in iron, it's not good for your health because it can create so many physical problems, and it will just add to the list of physical symptoms that you are already experiencing during your period. So it is key to replenish that iron that you're losing from the blood. And you can do this by eating foods that are rich in iron, like red meat, kale, spinach, broccoli. I also want to add for my vegetarian peoples that lentils, tofu, and pumpkin seeds, those are great sources of iron. So if you can't incorporate the red meat into your diet and you still need something with protein, tofu is a great alternative. Now I'm going to talk about two other minerals which are key for mood stabilization. First one is magnesium and the other is potassium. I did a little research on this, and what is amazing about these two minerals is that they actually have a calming effect on the body, and that they also are key players in the regulation of your stress responses. There's a study on people with mental disorders and mental illnesses, and they were actually deficient in magnesium and potassium and a bunch of other minerals, because these are key players in your neurotransmitters and stress responses. So I think that's super cool. So for some foods that are high in magnesium, you're going to want to have dark chocolate, lentils, and chickpeas. And there's also a bunch of others that you can have, like oatmeal. You can simply just go online and look up high magnesium foods, but just know that you should be having high magnesium foods, as well as high potassium foods, which I'm going to go into. So high potassium foods include bananas, sweet potatoes, oranges, cantaloupe, and even dried apricots. So if you can incorporate those some way into your diet, that would be perfect. And it can also influence the way that you feel emotionally and physically. So it can alleviate some cramping, and also it can take care of some of the depression that you might be feeling, or tiredness maybe. But yeah, just know that during your period, it's normal to feel not like yourself. It's normal to feel tired, it's normal to feel down and depressed, but there are things that you can do to alleviate those symptoms to a certain extent to make your life a little bit more enjoyable. I'm also going to mention some vitamins that you can take because, like I said, you are deficient in certain vitamins during this cycle phase. And those vitamins include vitamin B12, vitamin D, vitamin E, iron, calcium, and magnesium. That wraps up our nutrition section, and now let's get into exercise. So just like it's important to have a proper nutrition during your period and during all the other phases, it's equally as important to get a sufficient amount of exercise in every day. Some days where you might not feel like doing anything, and that's okay, but you should still be aiming to get in light exercise. You don't want to do any heavy lifting. You want to just do simple things like taking walks, and also light yoga and light Pilates. You can still do Pilates. I love doing Pilates on my period, but not ones that are ab focused because I tend to feel those in my lower back, and I already have lower back pain on my period. So anything with the arms I like doing on my period. You should not be putting a lot of strenuous pressure on your hip area because you're most likely already feeling a lot of cramps. I want to tell you right now, do not push yourself during your period. Do not do it. Whether it's mental or it's physical, don't push yourself because your body is already under so much stress and so much change right now that it will not be able to handle reaching a PR. So do not strive for that PR right now. Save it for 5 more days and save those runs for 5 more days. I'm gonna tell you a little story. I don't know if I'm going to include this, but there was this one time where I was on my period and I was already feeling kind of stressed out, and my friend asked if I wanted to play volleyball. Long story short, I was just peppering with her. I had the worst mental breakdown of my life that day. Because I couldn't move, I was literally so tired and fatigued that I couldn't get to the ball in time because I was so tired, and I just got so mad at myself because I couldn't perform as well as I usually do. No duh, I'm on my period, my body is shedding a part of me. No duh, I am not performing my best. But 6 months ago, I didn't know that, and I wasn't accepting of that. So that was a horrible day for me, and I just was so hard on myself when I had to be gentle. So please don't do anything along the lines of high intensity exercise where you're constantly moving back and forth or lifting really heavy weights. Now that I've told you how to care for yourself on a physical level with nutrition and exercise, I'm going to talk about how to care for yourself on an emotional and spiritual level. And that brings us to section 6, which is how to care for yourself with your emotions. During this phase, you are feeling so withdrawn. I know for me, I don't like to seek people out, even if it's my friends or my family. I like to have this time mostly to myself. And because of that, I always used to look at it as a bad thing, and I kind of used to shame myself for it, for not wanting to see my friends and for being a hobbit. But now I've figured out ways that I can take advantage of this feeling of being so withdrawn and not looking at it from a point of what's wrong with you, and looking at it from a point of this is normal. You are female with a reproductive system, and everything you're feeling is completely valid. So if you want to take the time to yourself and that's going to help you and that's going to make you feel better, then do it. So I'm glad to say that I can do that now on my period and not feel any shame towards that. But some of the practices that I do during my period are journaling and self-work, also praying to God. Just really think about where you are in life right now and what is serving you, what's making you happy, what's making you unhappy. Your period is a great time to release things. I mean, if you look at it this way, your vagina is releasing all of that blood, all of that energy from your body. And in ways, it hurts, yes, but also I've learned to see the good side in that, and that it's getting rid of all of that energy that I had stored up and all of that excessive things that I was carrying that I didn't need. And you can also do this with your emotions. So another story for me, I was going through a breakup this one time, and it was 2 weeks before my period. So I was in my luteal phase, and I never want to experience that again. Let's just say, because the 2 weeks that I was going through the breakup, I was going through every single emotion. And it was so confusing. It was so confusing and so hard to just get through the day. But at the same time, I'm kind of grateful it happened during the luteal phase, because then I was able to let go of it during my menstrual phase. And I don't know what it was, but it just felt so easy to let it go. And I don't know if it was time, but I definitely do think my menstrual phase had a role in me being able to just let this situation go and let all of the energy that I was focusing on that situation of my breakup to just let it go and realize that I can use my energy for other things that will help me and that won't drain from me anymore. During this time on your period, the main thing I want you to focus on from an emotional standpoint is to embrace your solitude. Don't look at it as a bad thing. Don't feel badly about not wanting to see your friends. It's completely normal. And also to just listen to your intuition. If it's telling you something, do not suppress it, and maybe even journal what your stream of consciousness is telling you, because that will lead to very good insight for your follicular and ovulation phase about what you should be doing and what you should be giving less of your energy to. And that wraps up our whole video on the menstrual phase. So I really hope that this reaches the right people that I want it to, and the people that I want it to reach are women that are struggling through their period and really just don't see the good in it, because there's so much good that can come out of your period, and that good will happen when you realize you have to accept your period and you have to also care for it with proper nutrition, exercise, self-work. I think the female body is an amazing thing and it's so complex, and once you learn about it, it really makes you embrace it. So I hope every woman watching this learns to embrace their cycle, especially the menstrual phase. Please stay tuned for this week and next week, because I'm going to be talking about the other 3 phases and give you the same exact layout as I did in this video. So take care of yourself, ladies, and I hope to see you in the next video.